listening to Evergreen Media Network. I am Cindy Schwartz, and this is the Patient Partner Show. We are also a podcast on Spreaker, so look us up on that. Jeannie Roller is my co-host. Jeannie Roller is in Indiana, and I am in Florida, in South Florida. We are talking today, Jeannie, and we have talked about this so many times before about being your own advocate, but I want to reiterate a lot of things that I learned extra about that. With a friend of mine I was talking with the other day who has just been diagnosed with liver cancer, so she's got nodules and different things, I don't know the technical terms, in her liver. But one of the things that they have nowadays, which they didn't 7 years ago when I went through my treatment, is the immunotherapy, which I think is a really big deal. But one of the important things that I listened to her talk about is how all of this information was given to her, and it really was like she wasn't getting any choice about it. And I said to her, I want you to do a lot of your own research, because I get what they're telling you, and we're not doctors, we're not in the medical community, but this is all just from our experience, Jeannie, you and I, and other people that we've had on the show and that we talk with outside the show, that if you don't do that, you kind of start behind the 8 ball overall. And I'm not saying that you should overthink it, but I think you stand a better chance. I know I did when I had more information, and that includes even now with the immunotherapy that is available. It wasn't available back when I was going through mine. So that's a good addition to it, and it's come a long way, but I know you feel the same way. There wasn't a lot of information back when you needed information for yourself and for your husband. And it does, I mean, I personally can't just skate along and say yes, 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 yes. I don't want to necessarily be in control, but I want to be educated to what other avenues there are. And another thing that I brought up with this friend of mine is I repeat, do not be afraid to get a second opinion. Don't think that the one opinion is the one that is absolute gold. Get yourself a second opinion and make sure that you have as much information as you possibly can. So, what do you want to add with that, Jeannie? I just think it's the most important thing to do.
Well, I totally agree, Cindy. I mean, you have to do your own research. And in today's world, it's a whole lot easier to do that research because the internet is just full of medical articles and even groups of people that may have a similar illness or disease.
Yeah.
You can even talk to them and find out what they did, what worked, what didn't. So, yeah. And second opinions, yes, and ask questions. You have to know what questions to ask. Yes, the doctor is the doctor, but it is also your body, and you have to determine, what you want done.
Yeah. I know after my surgery, I was in a group, what do you call it? A helping group. And of course, it was people from around the country. I don't know that group online exists any longer, but neither here nor there. There are certainly other ones that do exist. And I did find a lot of stuff, a lot of information from different areas of the country of different treatments and stuff they were doing, which I kind of wish I knew before I went in for my treatment. So some of those maybe you might want to join before you have your treatment. If you can, I know you can find them online, lung cancer support groups, that's what I'm talking about, or liver support groups like this friend of mine has the liver cancer. And it's just, I was amazed at different takes, what different doctors and different facilities and stuff were actually doing for it. So that's not a bad avenue either. It really isn't.
No, you can get so much information from others who have gone through or who are going through what you are going through.
Right.
I think it's a wealth of information.
Yeah. I also learned from that group, that support group, side effects and things like that to different drugs and what you could do differently from what maybe, like in my case, they really didn't give the office, the doctor's office, the surgeon's office that was prescribing these medications didn't really give you a lot of information about it, like, ice your head or, stuff like that, which those support groups or that particular one I remember was really helpful for that. And I know there was a breast cancer
Yeah.
support group on that same thread of mine for what I was going for, and it was just amazing some of the things that were going back and forth. It's almost like a Facebook kind of a group thing where you do learn so much
Right.
stuff. So I mean, I would definitely recommend that. I did to the friend of mine to go on some of these support groups in the beginning. Doesn't necessarily have to be in the end. I mean, the one I was on, you could have joined at any time. You didn't have to have already have had your treatment.
And one thing that people need to remember are that doctors usually specialize in one type of treatment. And, talking to others or seeing that second or third opinion, you might get another perspective on the treatment course to figure out which one's better for you. Because if you only go to one doctor and they only offer one type of treatment, perhaps another treatment option would be better for you. So that's another reason you should always do your homework.
Yeah. And that lends itself to the second opinion. I know that I've read this, and I know that you and I have talked about this. The insurance companies would much rather have, monetary wise as well, you, the patient, getting a second opinion and maybe going down a different avenue than to stick with the one and have a poor outcome that has to be paid for over and over again. So it's much cheaper to go to the second opinion, because some people are like, I don't know, the insurance company will pay for it. I mean, I'm not an aficionado of insurance companies, but I know most of them, from what I've ever heard talking with friends and family and whatever, they will let you have the second opinion because of that reason. That it may behoove you not to spend as much money, or
Right.
them not to spend as much money on poor treatment, poor outcomes, and then having to have, more treatment. So we haven't talked about that, the support groups. I don't know that we've ever talked about on this podcast about the support groups, but the one that I was in was really, really, really helpful. There was a lot of good information in there, and I was just so happy to meet. I didn't meet them in person, but to meet these people through the group and what they had to say. You can't think all that stuff, and you can't think of all those questions to ask. I mean, I don't think you can. There's no way that I could have thought about all those questions and different scenarios and stuff that these people brought to the table. So I would definitely recommend finding some kind of really, really good support group for whatever illness or ailment that you have, wherever you can get the group. Mine was through one of the doctors that steered me towards the support group, and it was just phenomenal. It really was. So I don't know if you've ever done that, Jeannie, but wherever you're going to get your help from, wherever you're going to get your peace of mind and those kind of things, it's not a bad way. If it works for you, it's not a bad way. It isn't.
Well, Cindy, that's how you and I met, is
Right.
because we were both doing the research, and through Misty at Medical Patient Modesty
Right.
is how we met.
Right. Right. And that was a support for me. I know it was for you. I mean, when I first met Misty, I thought I was going to go out of my mind. I just could not believe
Right.
what had happened. I remember you saying the same thing, Jeannie. I mean, who thinks that this stuff is going to happen to you in the medical community, that just the heinous care that both you and I got and your husband got, crazy. But to meet somebody that was like a mediator, if you will, Misty was, I thank her profusely for doing what she does, and putting people together with different helps and different. I know Misty's got some medical facilities on her website, patientmodesty.org, that have gotten great reviews. So look that up, because that's where I found a lot of information too, through her, and thank goodness that she did that. And also Robin Leonard, who does the Dignity Resource Council. She deals mostly with geriatric patients, but I mean, whatever you can get your information from is certainly worth the avenue to get the information. It's just amazing. But you're right, Jeannie, that's how you and I met and how we decided to start this. And there are other people that have been on here. We're all in it together. All of us are in it together. At the end of the day, I mean, nobody is isolated. We don't want anybody to be isolated. We want everybody to get as much information, as much help as you possibly can, because we all need it. On that note, stay listening to Evergreen Media Network.